What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode, Road to Shredz number 9. Can't believe we're on episode number 9. It's been a long journey coming, and I would have liked to be a little bit further along in my fitness journey, but can't be mad about the past, right? It's all about what you do today. And so with that said, we're here at the gym. We're finally able to get back in and start recording, getting more content in the gym. For the past 3 months, we've been just doing at-home gym workouts. And although that's been nice, I've been definitely missing the variety, the machines, and all that comes within this gym we got here. So we're about to do a full push workout, so stay tuned for that. We got the shoulders, the triceps, the chest. It's gonna be an awesome pump. Yeah, let's go have some fun. So just gotta get all ready here. We got the essentials. Headphones, gotta have that. We're gonna use the wrist wraps today. So typically when I use wrist wraps is when I'm doing any type of pushing movement. It's push day, so therefore we're gonna use the wraps here. Let's come into my backpack of equipment here. So these are the wraps I'm talking about. I've had these for a while. They're actually pretty good quality, tough wraps here. I don't really typically like tighten them up till like later on in the workout. I just like to have them on to just get ready and not have to worry about it later. And then we gotta warm up too, so we'll grab some bands and do some warm up the shoulders a little bit. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite playlist, what's your go-to playlist. As far as like warming up goes, before doing like upper body, typically grab the bands here and just go back and forth. These are called something, I actually forgot the name of it. Shoulder dislocates. Cameraman's got me. And then after that, we'll do some rotator cuff exercises or stretches with the bands as well, just to kind of get it, again, nice and warm and get the joints moving. Same thing with the other side. Could already feel like the tightness in there. Always want to warm up before you work out. And not static stretching either. You don't want to hold any stretches for too long. Just dynamic stretches. Just moving around, getting loose a little bit. Sometimes I'll do really big arm circles here. And also just to get the blood flowing too. So I'm thinking that we're gonna start off with some chest. I always like to start off with my chest because I wanna make sure that I am targeting it right. Whenever I do push workouts, I hardly ever like to start off with shoulders just because it's harder to target my chest if I'm feeling it in my shoulders. Triceps typically always do last, sometimes second, but to me it's my secondary muscle group. And I really wanna make sure that my chest and shoulders are getting the most attention. All right, so starting off with chest. Can't go wrong with some chest flies. Really the goal is just to hit about 3 sets to really get the chest warmed up, but I'm gonna utilize these sets to make sure that I'm also getting good form and technique to prepare my chest for the next couple exercises. Now with this one, cables are angled up at a higher level, so mainly gonna target the middle to lower parts of the chest. Again, I'm just warming up here, but the key is getting a big stretch, coming right in front of you and squeezing. And you want your chest to sort of be in front of your body. What I mean by that is if your shoulders are hunching forward like this, right? And you're leaning and you're leading with your shoulders, it's gonna be very hard to target the chest. The thing about doing PPL splits, is you want to utilize every single set. And so if you just rush through a set, don't really get most out of it, you're almost wasting a set, because typically during a PPL split, you don't want to do any more than like 3 sets. You really don't have time to do 4 sets because you still have 2 other muscle groups to train. So it's really important that you utilize each set. And if you're gonna do a warm up, count that as a totally separate set. I got one more set of chest for cable flies, and then we're gonna move on to something that will affect the upper chest. All right, so that was cable flies, first exercise of the push workout. Did 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Make sure to use decent weight, a big stretch at the top, nice squeeze at the bottom. All right, next exercise, we got the incline Smith machine bench press. Always, always, always make sure your seat is aligned with the bar. It might take a couple tries, but once you're locked in, you're ready to go. All right, so main thing with this exercise is you want to make sure that the bar is coming right down to your upper chest. You don't want it to go too high where it's like about to hit your chin, or too low to where you're coming like down here. Otherwise, when you push, you're going to be hitting your delts. So always, always, always make sure you're aligned. Again, it might take a couple tries, but make sure the bench is nice and even within the bar. And again, when you come down with the bar, it's coming right down to that sort of mid-range upper chest level. All right, so I'm gonna do 3 sets of anywhere from 8 to 12 reps. So the first set is always gonna be trying to get the most reps. This isn't as heavy as I'm gonna be going, so always try to aim for more reps with the first set. Now it's time to lock in with the wrist wraps here. This is a perfect exercise to actually use these guys because a lot of pressure goes on the wrist. And when you do these, you don't wanna just wrap it around your wrist like this. You actually are gonna benefit more from these if you go around your hand here. So that's how you use your wrist wraps. We're gonna go add 25 on each side. And again, 8 to 10 reps is the goal. So hand placement is also key in this. I typically like to put either my middle finger or my ring finger right over the line here. Never do I usually go, unless I'm trying to like go hard on the bench press and implement a little bit of tricep for some extra help and strength, I'll go narrow. But whenever I'm doing normal presses with the bar, usually always go a little bit more wider. So when I come down, I'm getting a greater stretch. If I place my hands here and I come down, there's not as much of a stretch in the chest when I come down. And obviously you don't want to go too wide to where, you're not going to be able to come, down as far as you'd like to. So every little detail matters. 10, baby. Mind you, my strength has been going down a tad bit since we've been cutting. A couple weeks now, I've been hitting a little plateau with my weight. So that means my body's adapting, in which I had to decrease my calories again to anywhere from 50 to 100. So now I'm eating less, which means I gotta increase more protein and eat less carbs and fats to make up for the calories, or the calorie deficit. So just all a part of getting lean. I think the biggest mistake that people make when trying to go on a fat loss or cut is that they stop training as hard as they did when they were bulking or when they were eating more calories. You want to keep that same intensity, if not bring it up even more, because this is what's going to prevent muscle loss and to maintain as much muscle as possible during your cut. So make sure you're training super hard, obviously smart, but hard, meaning you're using good technique and form with decent to heavy weight, and you're pushing yourself to that failure limit. Ooh. 8 reps, 225, well, minus the bar, since the bar's a little lighter on the Smith machine, but not bad. Not bad for being almost 15 pounds lighter than I was when I started this cut. All right, on to the next. Let's go. 2 exercises down, 1 more to go for chest. And then we got shoulders and triceps next. Oosh. So the bodybuilder in me, who's used to doing bro splits all the time, wants to do like 2 more chest exercises just cause. But As we're getting older, we're getting a little bit more smarter, but the goal is to train smarter, output less energy, but gain even more better results. So with that said, we're gonna keep the chest exercise down to a minimum of 3 exercises. So this last set, my second set for dumbbell bench press, we're just gonna stick with 2 sets total. And the goal is till failure. So I did 70 for a good solid, 8 to 10 reps. But those are like pause reps at the bottom, really feeling the stretch and the big squeeze and contraction at the top. So last set, I'm gonna go for 90s. I'm gonna take a little longer of a rest break. We're gonna go hard with it for this last chest exercise. And then we're gonna move on to some shoulders. Let's go. Up. That was pretty solid. I'm kind of surprised at myself, honestly. I got just as many reps as the 70s. Maybe didn't go as low as the 70s, but I think it was good tempo. I was even pausing a little bit, like I said, so pretty happy. All right, next exercise. Second favorite, dumbbell side laterals. We're gonna do 3 sets. The last set is gonna be a drop set. So on our second set, our third set is actually gonna be a drop. What am I trying to say? Let's just freaking work out. Shoulders are already pumped. When's a good time to know when to take off your pump cover? Is it based off of whether you feel like it when you're ready, or do you wait till like a certain point where you're more pumped and have hit more muscle groups? I think that's just the wrong mindset overall, right? It's like, take the pump cover off so you can look better. I just take the pump cover off because I want to see my progress. And when you see your progress, you see your results, it ultimately motivates you even more to just keep going. And everything's in the mindset. Like if you have a bad mindset, you think, you're hating on yourself and talking negatively over yourself. Think about it. Are you gonna have a good set, a good workout? Probably not with that kind of mindset. So it's not about thinking highly of yourself and in a conceited way. It's just simply being positive. And there's nothing wrong with that. At least that's what I think. So with that said, let's see what's under the hood. All right, there's under the hood. No. Need a haircut, so don't judge. Oh. Chest is pumped. Can already feel it in my triceps because we did a lot of push movements. But yeah, feeling lean, looking lean. And let's go again. So we're gonna grab 15s. We're gonna do 20s here. It's gonna be our second set. But then the third set, I'm gonna drop the 20s. We're gonna do a third set. That's gonna be our drop set. Yeah. All right, I got 15 here. Let's see how many we can get here. 1, 2, 10. Ooh, freaking burns. 1, 2, 3, 4. 15, I'll take it. Ooh, shoulders pumped. Legs are looking small too. Shaking my head. So, checked off chest. This is our last exercise for shoulders. We did dumbbell lateral raises for 3 sets basically. we're doing only 2 sets of shoulder press. So after this, we're gonna move on to triceps, and really that'll be it for the full push workout. So the weight felt pretty good. Shoulder dumbbell press or any kind of presses I'm pretty strong at. So I know I could have gotten heavier, but it's kind of funny how it works. It feels super heavy, but it's like, probably because my body's just exhausted right now. But yeah, I probably could go up. So should we stay the same or go up? Let's go up. Last set. Here we go. Feel like Pokemon. You know Ash? He's like, throws the Pokemon ball, goes. It's been a minute since I watched Pokemon. I'm not like a Pokemon nerd or anything like that, but I did grow up with it. Cards, VCR, tapes. But grew out of it when I was like in probably like middle school. Like are you even an Asian if you didn't watch Pokemon growing up? Probably not. Oosh. Break. Honestly, farmer's walks is freaking tiring. I think I need to start implementing those a little bit. Whew. All right, triceps. I think then we're gonna start off with cables. I need to catch my breath. Last but not least, we got triceps. Triceps is fun, but can be tricky to target sometimes, as a lot of people tend to use their shoulders and back to kind of push the weight down. We're starting off with the rope extensions here. Reason why I like the rope is because at the bottom, you can get a nice squeeze and contraction in the triceps as you spread the rope apart. Let's go ahead and knock them out. First set here, we'll probably do 3 sets here. So we're gonna do 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. So we just did 15 for 60 pounds. And how I gauge what I should do next with the weight is based off of how my previous set felt. So I did 15 reps, but it wasn't to failure. I probably could have done to failure would have been like probably 5 more reps. So my next set, I'm gonna challenge myself a little bit more and probably go up about 20 pounds so that I can reach for sure 10, maybe even a little past that. The goal is to test and feel for how much weight you should be doing. The more you practice, the better you get at that. That was a good set for sure. For as new as this machine is, it's pretty not as smooth. The cable, you can kind of feel more extra resistance. Brand new cable machine should just be absolutely smooth. Throw some WD-40 on that. Oh. Some partial reps there at the end. Got the horseshoes right there. Just need a horse. One more tricep exercise. What should we do? Now, I would always suggest other people to come in with the game plan, right? But my game plan's up here. I almost have a whole list of exercises in my head. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, triceps next. Should I do any type of cable tricep extensions? Whether that's the rope, the bar, push downs, behind the head extensions, or should I do something like dumbbell skull crushers, dumbbell kickbacks, dumbbell behind the head extensions, right? Should I do a dipping press or push down, diamond push-ups, right? There's so many exercise variations that you can do. Here's what I'll say. What exercise you do doesn't matter. It's the one that you can actually contract, squeeze, get the most out of the triceps with. That's the best exercise that you need to be doing in order for it to grow. Your triceps don't know what exercises you're doing. It doesn't know the difference between a cable pushdown and a cable rope extension, right? So with that said, it's all in your mind. Make sure you're feeling for your workouts, your exercises. The better you can understand the feeling of the mind to muscle connection, the better results you're gonna get. All right, guys. This is the exercise I pulled out from my list in my head. So we're gonna do dips. We're gonna place our feet on the box here. We're gonna start off low and get a feel for it. And then if I really wanna challenge myself, I might put my feet up here. But the goal is, think about like a dipping motion. So let me just stop talking and show you guys. Key is to focus all on the triceps. I'm gonna come down and then squeeze at the top. I'm getting a major contraction as we speak, and it's already burning. Yep, that burns. So I'll do 2 sets of these, or probably 3, and then that'll be our workout. All right, so I'm gonna be honest, over the past couple weeks, the macros have not been dialed in. Matter of fact, we have binged a little bit on a couple nights, a couple days where we just couldn't resist, you know? I live with my family, obviously, who, you know, they gotta eat too, and a lot of times what they eat isn't necessarily macro friendly. I'm not saying it's, you know, absolutely terrible for them to eat, but like, I'm gonna have some of it every once in a while. And in moderation, it's gonna be okay, but there are points where binging is something that I revert to sometimes when I'm dieting for a certain amount of time. And so the weight loss hasn't been as consistent as I would like to. But I've been trying to give myself some grace because at the end of the day, I still feel great. And not compared to anyone else, I look great. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'm not mad. I'm not shaming myself. I look at the mirror and I'm like we're getting leaner. We're getting more shredded, more cuts. The core is looking more defined, and that's ultimately what we were trying to aim for in the beginning. So what I'm trying to get at is there are going to be times in your journey where you're going to get setbacks. 1 step back to get 2 steps forward, right? So with that said, we probably could have been a lot more leaner today, but it's all a part of the journey. And so I'm not going to beat myself up. What I'm going to do is focus on today, moving forward, finish the week off strong, meal prep this weekend so that next week I'm going to try and do better than I did this week. We're looking great. We're feeling great. We're getting super lean, but although we're not as lean as we want to be, the focus is to keep pushing forward. That's all you can do, right? And so, but pretty happy. I wish the pump would stay like this and it would never go away. So, all right, moving on to the big box here. Let's go. Oh yeah. Oh. Whew. So if you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you look silly, because if somebody was to look at these exercises and be like, what are you doing? And has never tried it, tell them to try this, and I promise you they'll be humbled. Because they've never felt it before, right? It just looks silly. But it's just like doing any type of push down, an actual dips motion, like on a bar, right? When you do dips, it's just a different variation. And I like this variation because I'm able to get a deep enough stretch to get the triceps in a good stretching position, but then squeeze the heck, lock out at the top. And as you guys can see, the triceps are being very much so contracted. But yeah, just need 1 more set and then we'll call it a day. All right. I always like to finish off strong, so with that said, we're gonna add a 50-pound bag, place it on top of my lap here, and try and get as many reps as possible. Oh. Whew. That's a wrap. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this push workout, make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of Road to Shredz. Peace out. Cut.